Hello everyone and welcome back to Film It Friday. Today we're going to be talking about what's in my camera bag. I get asked this question all the time. People say, what camera do you use? What budget lens would you recommend? What gimbal should I buy? So I'm making a little rundown video of some of my favourite pieces of kit to show you what I use to film. So let's start with the Sony A6300. This is by far my absolute favourite camera that I've ever owned. We've actually got two of them. I'm using one to film right now, and you can't go wrong. This cost us about £500. That one was slightly more because we bought it new, but if you pick it up secondhand, you're using it to shoot video, you're not going to go wrong at all. They shoot 4K video, they shoot 120 frames a second slow motion. If we're not shooting 4K, we're usually shooting slow motion. The autofocus is amazing, and now there's a really nice range of lenses to go along with them. This lens is the 85mm 1.8 and it's the most recent addition to our setup. It's a really nice portrait lens. I think the equivalent for a full frame camera would be 135mm 1.8, so it's a really nice focal length to have on here, and it actually works really well on a gimbal as well. You get some really nice parallaxes. So the next camera we're going to take a look at is the Sony FS5. This is a beast of a camera. This is probably the most expensive piece of kit that we own. The reason we bought it is it shoots 4K continuously for as long as your memory card and battery will allow. It also does 240 frames a second at 1080p to get those glorious slow motion shots. It's a really great piece of kit, and it also has dual SD card slots, so that's the main reason we bought it. So when we're filming a wedding or a large corporate event, we know we've always got a backup of the footage that we've shot. This has got the Sony 18-105 f4 lens on it, and I'm kind of a prime guy. This lens came with the camera. I like my primes. Well, you'll see the primes that we've got in a minute. The Sony 85 being one of them. But I mean, it's an okay lens. If you're shooting a corporate event and you want to get really close in on someone, yeah, it's got its uses, but f4, we shoot a lot of low light events, and to me, it's just not the best lens you can buy. It's not the lens I would recommend you buy if you've got £500 to spend on a lens. So they're the three cameras that we own. Now I'm going to go on to some of the lenses that we use. This is by far my favourite lens, the best value lens you could possibly buy for your Sony E-mount system. This is the Sigma 16mm f1.4. This is a beast. The autofocus is absolutely incredible. You put an A6300 on a gimbal with this lens and you're guaranteed to get some really nice shots. So I'm a really big 50mm lens fan. I've got quite a few of them, but I'm just going to show you one or two today. And we do have the Sony 50mm 1.8, but that isn't here at the moment. So this lens is the Camelan 50mm 1.1. This again is an astonishing lens for the amount of money. This costs £139, you can buy it on Amazon. And having an aperture of 1.1 means you can shoot in really low light situations. I came from owning an A7S to owning two A6300s, and obviously the A6300 isn't as good in low light as the A7S. This lens really makes up for it, although it can be a little bit soft at times. It's a really good value lens. So next up, we've got the 50mm 2.5 macro lens from Canon. This is a brilliant macro lens for the price. You can pick one of these up for about £150 on eBay, and you will never go wrong with this lens. If you want to be doing detailed shots of rings at a wedding, or you're a nature photographer and you want a cheap macro lens to get you started, this is brilliant. I've never needed another macro lens, and I will keep this in my camera bag forever, or until it breaks. We also have a photo deox made adapter, so we can put this on our Sony cameras. I did come from Canon, so that's why I've got it. It's the only Canon lens that I still use. Everything else is now Sony E-mount. So the last lens that we own is the lens I'm actually filming this video on, and it's the Sigma 30mm 1.4. Now, since I bought this lens, it's pretty much lived on the camera. It's the only lens that stays on the camera pretty much all the time. All the other lenses kind of swap between the two cameras, but this one lives on it. You could film a whole wedding on that one lens and you would get some stunning results. So what gimbal do I use? This is the Zion Crane 2, not the version 2, it's the Zion Crane 2. I've owned a lot of gimbals in my 5 or 6 years of filmmaking, and this one by far is my favorite. I've used the DJI Ronin MX, I've used the DJI Ronin, the DJI Ronin M, I had the Zion Crane 1 and the Zion Crane 1 version 2. But this one is built really well. You can control the camera from the buttons on the back, which is really nice. To not have to lean over and press record on the camera is really good. It's built really well, it's solid, and it can take quite a heavy camera. I'm still struggling to get the FS5 on there, but one day it's gonna happen and there'll be a video showing you guys how. So next up is the GoPro. This is just a GoPro Hero. It's nothing special. It shoots 1080p, doesn't do slow motion. But if we need to stick a camera somewhere where we're worried the camera's gonna get damaged, this is usually the camera that gets put there. So let's talk memory cards. We have quite a few memory cards. I think we've got 10 64 gig memory cards and 4 256 gig memory cards. They're all class 10 and they're all U3, so they work in all of our cameras. We have a system where we have this memory card case where all of the fresh memory cards go, and once they've been used, once they've been filled up, they go into this memory card case. And then we know when we get home, we just have to take this case out of our flight cases and import the footage, and we've got everything we need. It's a really good system. We've been using it for about a year, and I will never go back to just hoping and praying. Okay, so on to the last piece of equipment we've got that is able to record video. This is the DJI Mavic Air. As you can see, it's a drone. It shoots 4K, it shoots slow motion, it flies like a beast, it's so quick, it's so stable in the air. We used to have the DJI Mavic, we've had the Inspire, but this by far is the best drone I've ever owned. Okay, so on to sound. We primarily use the Zoom H4n and the Zoom H1. Both of these are really good little recorders. They don't cost much. They both record in WAV and MP3. They're both battery powered, and you can put both of them on tripods or cameras. They're really good little recorders, and at the moment, they're not very expensive at all. So we also have the Rode VideoMic Go. We don't tend to use this a massive amount. The main reason we would use this is if we're filming some speeches, a wedding, and we want to get backup audio, decent backup audio, we can plug one of these straight into the Sony A6300. It doesn't have a battery, which is really nice. It just gets powered off the camera. So it's a really good little backup, but yeah, that's just another little mic that we own. So let's talk wireless microphones. We have the Boya system, which you can find on Amazon. The range isn't amazing. They do need line of sight, and you do need to put a quality lapel mic on them for you to get good sound. But we haven't really had any problems with them, and they do produce really nice clear audio. We have this set. And this set, this is the updated version, but we tend to use these ones. These just seem a little bit more reliable to me. We do always have a backup audio in place as well, just in case these fail. So the last piece of audio equipment we've got is this. This is the Sony TX650. Again, I've made a review video of this, so if you want to take a closer look at it, please head on over to my channel and you can search through the videos for the Sony TX650. I've actually got one here on my top, and this is what is recording all of the audio. Again, if you're shooting speeches or a ceremony, you can pop this in the groom's pocket and you get really crisp, clear audio. And they last for about 15 hours, and they've got a 16GB internal memory. So really great for that kind of situation. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about are batteries. This is the standard battery that goes in the Sony A6300, so we've got about 12 of these. They don't last particularly long, but when we were first starting to change over to the Sony cameras, this is what we used. They last about 40 minutes to an hour of continuous recording. And then we have 4 of these battery banks, which are 56 milliamp hour. And you can strap these to the top of the Sony A6300s, and then you get about a day's worth of filming, a good 5 or 6 hours worth of filming out of them. Okay guys, so that's a really quick roundup of some of the gear that I use. This isn't all of it by any means. I haven't included any tripods. We've got a load of tripods up in the studio, loads of other equipment up there, hard drives, computers, laptops, all that kind of stuff. If you want me to make a video on that kind of stuff, please put it in the comments below. If you liked the video, please go ahead and push that like button. If you didn't like it, then press the dislike button. And if you could subscribe to the channel, I'd be eternally grateful. Thanks again, and see you next time.